And 3 days after that powerful earthquake, the miracle rescues.
This is NBC Nightly News, Decision 2020. Here is Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. Here we are now, just hours from Election Day 2020. As the nation closes in on 100 million early votes cast, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are tonight surgically trying to pick off the states that could push them over the line. Biden tonight, according to polls, holding a lead in key battleground states, but the margins are narrow. The president looking to close ground with a final pitch grounded in grievances and doubt about the election process itself. We have it all covered. Let's begin our coverage with Jeff Bennett. And Jeff, what is the president hoping for in these final hours?
Lester, President Trump's campaign is counting on a surge in Election Day turnout among his supporters to fuel the president's path to re-election. His campaign drawing confidence from the size of his crowds, despite polling showing him behind. President Trump crisscrossing the country tonight to close out the 2020 campaign.
North Carolina, thank you very much. We win Pennsylvania, we win the whole deal. You know that, right?
By the end of the night, the president will have logged nearly 2,500 miles, with rallies in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, battlegrounds he won in 2016, but where polls say the race is either tight or he's trailing. Part of the president's closing argument, a threat to fire Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Don't tell anybody, but let me wait till a little bit after the election.
That's after Fauci told the Washington Post about the pandemic. The Biden campaign is taking it seriously from a public health perspective, while the president's focus is reopening the country. Back on the trail, the president teeing up uncertainty over the election outcome, pushing the false argument that results not declared on election night are illegitimate.
We should know the result of the election on November 3rd, the evening of November 3rd. That's the way it's been, and that's the way it should be.
All that as the FBI tells NBC News it's investigating after Trump supporters surrounded a Biden campaign bus in Texas Friday. The president insisting his supporters were being helpful, not threatening.
Do you see the way our people, they were protecting his bus yesterday?
The president tweeting today they did nothing wrong. Republican Senator Marco Rubio backing him up.
Did you see it? All the cars on the road with the... We love what they did.
A Biden campaign official says the vehicles tried to run the bus off the road. Tensions high as the president fights to the final moment to secure a second term. Jeff Bennett, NBC News, Traverse City, Michigan.
I'm Kristen Welker. Tonight, Joe Biden closing out his campaign in battleground Pennsylvania, appearing with Lady Gaga.
You guys can own this election.
After hitting the key state of Ohio and again blasting the president over his handling of COVID-19 and the president's suggestion he may fire Dr. Anthony Fauci.
I got a better idea. Elect me and I'm going to hire Dr. Fauci. And we're going to fire Donald Trump.
Biden making 4 stops in Pennsylvania today, Kamala Harris with 5, while former President Obama going to Georgia and Florida to try to energize Black and Latino voters with turnout in some areas below expectations.
Tomorrow, after 4 years of failure, you have the power to change America.
But Pennsylvania will be key, and the polls here are tightening. Our new NBC News Marist poll showing Biden's lead shrinking to just 5 points, which is within the margin of error. Meanwhile, President Trump drawing tens of thousands of supporters to rallies here. Pennsylvania's Democratic Lieutenant Governor tweeting a photo of one packed Trump rally, warning Democrats that's not Photoshop. The president is popular in PA, urging them to vote, tweeting, "Bank your ballot." We spoke to critical voters in the Philadelphia suburbs, including supporters of the president. What is the biggest issue for you?
Economy, right? Really.
You think he's done a good job on the economy?
I do, yeah, absolutely.
And Biden. Why Biden and Harris?
Because of what's going on in the world, the divisiveness, trying to entice the hateness, and it's just horrible. We need a change. The people are suffering.
And Kristen joined me now. Kristen, what expectations are the Biden campaign setting tonight?
Well, Lester, the Biden campaign insists Pennsylvania is not must-win for them, but they are fighting so hard here because it is very difficult for President Trump to win re-election without winning Pennsylvania again. Biden will be back here tomorrow. Lester.
All right, Kristen, thanks very much. And we know that counting the vote might take days in some places, and state laws permit that. But as you heard, President Trump again suggested that counting should stop tomorrow. Tom Costello tonight with a reality check.
Never in the country's history has a winner been formally declared the night of the election. But with record numbers of voters, President Trump on Sunday falsely claimed votes should not be counted after Tuesday.
I think it's a terrible thing when people or states are allowed to tabulate ballots for a long period of time after the election is over.
But counting takes time, days, even weeks. And the president surely knows that. Here are the facts. 21 states and D.C. allow ballots postmarked by Election Day to be counted if they arrive after Election Day, including critical swing states Pennsylvania, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Ohio. But tonight, a big concern. The Postal Service, accused of slowing mail delivery to help President Trump, reports that on Saturday it moved only 62% of mailed-in ballots on time in central Pennsylvania and 64% in Atlanta, compared to a 95% overall on-time delivery in June. Some states are already counting millions of early votes, including Florida, Arizona, and North Carolina. Other battlegrounds like Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania can't begin counting until tomorrow. Pennsylvania's governor out with a new commercial trying to reassure voters.
It may take a little longer than we're used to, even a few days, but that's okay, because it's critical that your vote is counted.
Even veteran Republicans are concerned by the president's rhetoric.
Look, I'm a Republican. I agree with the president when he's right, but he's wrong about this. This type of rhetoric about rigged elections ultimately invites comparison to places like Russia, to places like Iran, places where they really do rig elections.
In fact, every state has its own deadline for certifying election results. The real deadline, December 14th. That's when state electors must cast their ballots in the Electoral College. Experts caution as states come in tomorrow night, they may trend blue or red, but all that matters is the final vote count, and they could all change their colors. Lester?
All right, Tom Costello, thanks. Let's bring in our political director and moderator of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd. Chuck, how do these two candidates reach the prize, 270 electoral votes?
Well, in theory, there's a ton of ways for them to get there, but what we're really figuring out, there's really just two paths. There's a northern path and a southern path here. Watch our bars here as I move these states. For now, we're going to assume that Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan go Democrat. We're going to put Iowa and Ohio in the Republican column. And look what that leaves us here. You've got these 5 Sun Belt states plus Pennsylvania. And look at the importance of the Sun Belt to Donald Trump. Just one win by Biden, and he hits 270 or more. Arizona would do it. Texas would do it. Florida would do it. Georgia would do it. Or North Carolina would do it. Just one. But if the president holds all the Sun Belt, then where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with Pennsylvania. And if you're trying to figure out why there's so much threat of lawsuit about Pennsylvania, is because they've done this path too. They've done these paths too. And each side gets stuck at times with the 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania, Lester.
All right, Chuck, thanks very much. And for voters, the pandemic is front and center as it continues to explode across the country yet again, ravaging families and pushing hospitals to the brink. Here's Miguel Almaguer now on the alarming surge.
As our nation approaches a staggering 100,000 new infections a day, hospitals in states like Utah, overwhelmed by a flood of COVID cases, say they may have to soon ration care. In Wisconsin, where the positivity rate is roughly 30%, retired healthcare workers are being asked to return to the front lines. For nurses and doctors inside this ICU in South Dakota, every statistic is a patient. Deaths in this state have risen 52%.
As we're all trying to keep our cool on the outside, on the inside, we're like, got so many patients I need to see.
With the city of El Paso receiving its 4th mobile morgue after a surge in fatalities, Scenes like these showing thousands partying on Halloween have first responders outraged. But smaller events, like a gathering inside a Vermont hockey rink, also have led to at least 89 infections, now spread across 18 towns. In St. Louis, LaWanda Griffin survived the virus, but lost her mother and 2 great uncles to COVID.
Oh, that was the hardest thing.
On election eve, the pandemic and politics are colliding at